everyone. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Lightness, broadcasting from our studio in Edmonton, Canada. It's Monday, August the 2nd, 2021 on this side of the world. And a good Tuesday morning, magandang umaga, to our viewers in the Philippines. In the news, we have updates from several of our correspondents from across North America. Joining us live this evening, Mayanne Manzano-Garzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey to require COVID vaccination or regular testing for healthcare workers.
Keisha Lebanon in Santa Clarita, California.
COVID cases spike among the homeless in Los Angeles County.
Mila Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania State Police reminds Pennsylvanians to be vigilant of fraud when applying for unemployment benefits.
We'll also hear from Philip Toledo in Atlanta, Georgia. He tells us masks will be mandatory again in Atlanta. Lori Jarvina in Las Vegas reports about Nevada's new mask vaccination and COVID testing policy. In health news, Eva Basayahe tells us how the new Bell Health Center in Los Angeles is serving that city's diverse community. We'll hear about a whale watching season beginning in Panama in an EBC travel feature from May Davila. For EBC Food, Ika Ira shares her recipe for cheesy bacon-stuffed mini peppers. I'm getting hungry already. Oh, plus for tonight's roundtable, National Coloring Book Day, what colors make you happy? Our coverage begins now. We start with news from the U.S. State Department as violence worsens in Afghanistan and Western troops leave the Middle Eastern country. The United States says it will accept more Afghan refugees. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says the expanded eligibility will include Afghans who work with U.S.-based media organizations, non-governmental groups, and on projects backed by American funding.
Over the past 13 years, the State Department has issued more than 73,000 special immigrant visas to eligible Afghans who have helped the United States and also to their families. Last year alone, we issued nearly 8,000 of those visas. Now, we've accelerated and expanded the program. Congress recently increased the cap by another 8,000 visas.
But unlike interpreters, these people will have little help from the U.S. government. They'll have to find their own way out of Afghanistan and then support themselves during the lengthy application process. Now, on another matter, that attack last week on an oil tanker in the Arabian Sea, Blinken vows that Iran will face a response from several nations.
And as I noted, we are in very close contact and coordination with the United Kingdom, Israel, Romania, and other countries, and there will be a collective response.
You recall two crew members, one from the United Kingdom, the other from Romania. Well, they died when a drone attacked the ship off the coast of Oman. It's believed the drone was operated by Iran. The tanker is connected to an Israeli billionaire. Israel, the United Kingdom, and the U.S. have condemned the attack. Iran denies it is involved. The COVID file now. We start in the United Kingdom, where fully vaccinated visitors from the United States and most of the European Union no longer have to isolate for 10 days upon arrival. You know, it's been over a year since people could travel to Britain this freely. There's separate rules in place for those coming in from France, and that's because of the persistent presence of the Beta variant in France. The Beta variant, it appears to be more resistant to vaccines. So what's the situation like in the UK? Well, Britain's coping with another wave of the virus due to the Delta variant. It appears case numbers are stabilizing. About 70% of adults in the UK have been fully immunized. How about the rest of the world? Well, let's have a quick synopsis. Virtually every part of the world is dealing with a resurgence of the virus. It seems to be worse in most parts of Asia, where many countries have imposed restrictions again. Countries like the Philippines, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, just to name a few. Outbreaks have resulted in tighter health measures in Australia and New Zealand. Africa is dealing with outbreaks, as is South America. And here in North America, case numbers on the rise in both the United States and Canada. As public health experts have told us before, it's a race between the ability of the virus to mutate and trying to vaccinate enough people to achieve herd immunity. In developed countries, herd immunity is being hampered by vaccine hesitancy. In other parts of the world, though, there are no inoculants or few inoculants to put into people's arms. Sadly, vaccine supplies are short, and so is the money needed to pay for them. The pandemic is not over. There's another pandemic going on as well. It's the pandemic of misinformation. And this outbreak of lies is hurting attempts to achieve herd immunity. Let me give you some examples from the last few days. This was the scene in Poland where arsonists have torched 2 vaccination centers. The country's prime minister laments that this is happening all too frequently. Fortunately, no one injured in these fires, but they illustrate just to the extent to which these extremists will go. In the Italian city of Milan, hundreds of anti-vaxxers marched through city streets. They don't like the idea of vaccine passports. They claim the so-called green pass that proves they've been vaccinated infringes upon their freedom. In their opinion, they say the government is blackmailing people to force them to be immunized. Now, there was a similar protest in Paris. It turned violent outside the Bastille Opera House. Clashes erupted between police and the demonstrators opposed to the country's health pass. Police fired water cannons at the protesters who threw projectiles. And later, police sprayed the demonstrators with tear gas to keep the crowd at bay. Let's look at today's COVID-19 numbers now, provided by the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. As of 6 p.m. today, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide, now more than 198,472,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: the United States, more than 35 million; India, more than 31.6 million; Brazil, more than 19.9 million. And sadly, that virus has claimed more than 4,140,000 lives worldwide. Top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the United States, 613,000, Brazil, more than 556,000, and India, more than 424,000. The number of COVID vaccine doses administered worldwide, more than 4,383,000,000. Sounds like a lot, but there's still a long way to go. Now, just a quick note, the United States has finally reached President Biden's goal of getting 70% of American adults vaccinated with at least 1 dose. Biden had hoped to hit that target a month ago by July the 4th, Independence Day. There's still a long ways to go, though, to achieve herd immunity. Wildfires now, a brief update. The war against the flames continues in the western United States, and U.S. President Joe Biden has warned the battle will be a long one. More than 5,000 firefighters are fighting this fire that you see here up on the screen. It's called the Dixie Fire. It's in California. Hundreds of people, thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes. Firefighters trying to bring this blaze under control. Wildfires are also a problem in other parts of the world. Up in Canada here, flames chewing through the forests of British Columbia and Ontario. Fires raging in other parts of the world as well. Look at this. Overseas in Turkey, these fires are raging across the coastal region of that country. Tourists have been evacuated from seaside resorts as the flames spread. Volunteers from Europe have joined local firefighters in the battle. 8 people have died in the blazes that have persisted for a week. Italy's Adriatic coast is also under siege from wildfires. More than 800 flare-ups been recorded in 1 weekend alone. According to EU data, this year's fire season has been more destructive than most. The blazes are more frequent and they're more intense. The Middle Eastern country of Lebanon relying on untrained volunteers to tame deadly wildfires there. A 15-year-old died while helping to put out the flames. People living there say there has been no help from the government. They stand by helplessly as flames destroy their homes and livelihoods. And in Siberia, in northern Russia, now this is a region that people usually associate with snow and frigid temperatures, but in Siberia, I should say, vast areas of forests have been scorched by flames. More than 1.5 million hectares, that's 3.7 million acres, have been consumed by the infernos. Climate change is being blamed for all of this devastation that I have just told you about. I want to lighten up the mood now. So why don't we start by telling you about the lobster lady? Meet Virginia Ginny Oliver. She's been catching lobsters off the coast of Maine since she was 7 years old. She's 101 now. That's 94 years that she's been doing this. 94 years. She's the oldest licensed lobster woman in the state, maybe in the world. So, Ginny, when are you gonna give it up?
I'm going to till I die. It's time enough. People say to me, well, where do you go for? And I said, because I want to. I'm old enough to be my own boss.
Well, I hope when I'm 101, I can still bring you stories like this on Eagle News. My compliments to the chef. Have you ever said that to a server when you're out fine dining? How would you compliment this chef? At Robo Eats in Latvia, the chef is not temperamental. He doesn't yell at the staff, never demands a raise or a day off, and cooks everything to perfection every time. At this restaurant, when a pasta order comes in, this robot chef springs into action, and within 5 minutes, the meal is ready. Konstantine's Korjumpkins, who started the restaurant, says it's taken a few years to automate the kitchen.
So it took us around, I would say, 3 years to come to what we have now. And the machine, the current version of our system, is actually completely autonomously can cook, serve, take orders, wash itself. So basically, it's a completely autonomous robotic kitchen. We see the system replaces at least 3 people. In the best scenario, 5 workers in the kitchen.
Well, when you hear the word bird brain, what comes to mind? Probably a person who isn't too bright. But don't underestimate the power of a bird brain. Now, scientists in Australia did a study on cockatoos. Cockatoos are a bird native to that country, and it seems that they learn through observation. Like this bird in Sydney. He's learned how to open a trash can lid to forage for food. But get this. Interestingly enough, these birds pass this knowledge on to others in the flock, the teachers. Scientist Barbara Klump calls the phenomena social learning. Social learning. She says it's rare to find in wild animals, but look at this guy. He's terrific. Up next, we're going to have stories from New Jersey, California, and Pennsylvania. Eagle News America continues.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor attack.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. The state of New Jersey taking no chances that healthcare workers could spread COVID-19. Now, the state's going to require them to either be fully immunized against COVID or undergo regular testing. Joining me live now with the details, we have EBC's Mayanne Manzano-Gerzon. Mayanne, tell us more about this story.
Thank you, Thomas. Vaccinations or regular testing will be required to curb the risk of COVID-19. Governor Phil Murphy today announced that all workers in certain state and private healthcare facilities and high-risk congregate settings will be required to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or be subject to COVID-19 testing at minimum 1 to 2 times per week. This requirement will help increase protection against the spread of COVID-19, including the highly transmissible Delta variant to vulnerable populations who have been hardest hit during the pandemic. Take a look.
Today, we are announcing that all workers in a range of healthcare facilities and other high-risk congregate settings are required to either complete a full vaccination course or undergo regular testing at a minimum of once to twice each week. All impacted facilities, which I will list in a minute, are to be in full compliance by September 7th, no exceptions and no extensions. To be clear, this standard is the absolute floor. We are reviewing all available resources to set aggressive testing standards as quickly as possible in the state's high-risk settings. And to be clear, we retain the ability and the authority to go further if we do not see significant increases in vaccination rates within this worker population. This mandate will apply to all staff entering a healthcare facility or congregate living setting. This includes the Ancora, Greystone Park, and Trenton Psychiatric Hospitals, the Anne Klein Forensic Center, the Veterans Homes in Paramus, Menlo Park, and Vineland, all state developmental centers, state correctional and juvenile justice facilities and county-run correctional facilities, long-term care and assisted living facilities, acute care and specialty hospitals, short-term and post-acute inpatient rehabilitation facilities, and licensed behavioral health facilities. Private sector employers are equally and fully empowered to work on a more ambitious timeline or to require either a more rigorous testing regime or eliminate that option completely and require all employees to be vaccinated as a matter of their continued employment.
For New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the Department of Health has reported another 937 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 909,057. Positivity rate is 4.6, while rate of transmission is 1.43. Sadly, we're also reporting 1 new confirmed death, pushing the total to 23,877 COVID fatalities here in New Jersey. On the brighter side, the latest total of fully vaccinated individuals in the state is now 5,309,373. To know the latest on New Jersey's vaccination progress, visit covid19.nj.gov/vaccine. And Thomas, for a quick weather update, it's partly cloudy here in New Jersey. It is 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, Mayanne Manzano-Gerzon, Eagle News, We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
And you know, with the increasing cases due to the Delta variant, and that seems to be worldwide what the problem is, the Delta variant, what does the number look like in long-term care facilities in your state?
Right, Thomas. So State Health Commissioner Judith Percy-Kelly said that during the COVID briefing earlier today that outbreaks in those facilities have dropped dramatically since the winter, Thomas, but have been rising again lately, like just what you mentioned. In fact, currently there are outbreaks in 38 facilities compared to 18 just 2 weeks ago. Thomas.
Mayan, what was New Jersey's response to the Center for Disease Control announcement recommending that people mask up indoors again?
So Thomas, Governor Murphy responded by issuing a statement last week saying that all people in New Jersey are strongly encouraged but not required to wear masks indoors in settings where there is increased risk of catching the virus. And the governor also said that although he said he's open to another mandate if numbers get worse. Thomas.
Thanks for that report, Mayan, and do stick around. Want to hear about your coloring, whether you stay within the lines or not. Don't tell me now. We'll keep everybody in suspense, okay? Talk to you at the end of the program. COVID cases continue to rise in California. In Los Angeles County, health officials concerned about the growing number of homeless people falling ill to the virus. Eagle News correspondent Keisha Labanon is in California. Thanks for joining us this evening, Keisha. Update us on this situation.
Thank you, Thomas. So according to the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, COVID-19 cases in Los Angeles County are rising among the homeless population. In their daily COVID-19 update yesterday, the department reported an additional 3,045 new positive cases and 5 new deaths with 1,071 current hospitalizations. This update actually marked the 4th consecutive day where the county remained above 3,000 positive COVID-19 cases. Now, LA public health officials note a rising trend of positive COVID-19 cases among those who are actually in the homeless in the county. During the week of July 19 through July 25th, 111 new positive cases were from among the homeless, which is about a rise of 21% from the week prior, where only 92 COVID-19 cases were reported from this population. So in total so far, there have been 7,588 positive cases and 216 COVID-19 deaths among the Angelenos who are experiencing homelessness. Now, the breakdown of the 216 homeless deaths due to the coronavirus are as follows. 99 were receiving shelter, 71 did not have any shelter, and 46 homeless individuals had unknown shelter status. Barbara Ferrer, the LA Public Health Director, states, "The tragic reality is that almost every single person hospitalized and dying from COVID-19 is unvaccinated, and these hospitalizations and deaths are for the most part preventable. Almost 25,000 LA County residents have died from COVID-19, and COVID now is the leading cause of death." In Santa Clarita, California, Keisha Rose Labanon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Keisha, why are the homeless more at risk? Has anybody kind of given us some insight as to why they're more at risk for testing positive to COVID?
Thomas, those experiencing homelessness here in LA County tend to be more clustered together or gathered in group locations, for example, under the bridges, sidewalks, or even parks, which make these ideal places for the coronavirus to thrive and spread. Now, many of these tend to be older in age and actually have underlying health conditions, which makes them more susceptible to contracting the coronavirus if not vaccinated and not practicing the safety precautionary measures like face covering, physical distancing, and hand washing. These reported numbers by the Public Health Department might not also accurately reflect the entire homeless population in Los Angeles, as many tend not to get tested or even just want to be left alone. Thomas?
Thanks for the report, Keisha, and do stick around. We'll talk about coloring at the roundtable. State police in Pennsylvania warning people not to commit fraud when applying for unemployment benefits. Joining us now with the details, our Pennsylvania Bureau Chief, Mila Simbulan. Mila?
That's right, Thomas. Fraud is an unfortunate byproduct of any disaster, and we are seeing the proof of that during the global COVID-19 pandemic. State officials here in Pennsylvania, including the state police, reminds Pennsylvanians to be vigilant of fraud and the warning signs and steps to take if they become a victim. Take a look.
No one thinks that a scam will happen to them, but we found that scammers don't discriminate. People hear about scams in the news and think about how could that happen to them? It seems so obvious, but the fact is that everyone is at risk. Today I'm here to affirm that the Pennsylvania State Police and our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners are committed to doing everything we can to protect you from the criminal threat from fraud, identity theft, and scams. We will investigate these malicious scams and do everything in our power to bring the responsible parties to justice. In order to successfully spoil the scammers' threats, we need our communities to prepare themselves and the vulnerable populations to identify potential scams and to report these efforts to your local law enforcement agencies.
Across the nation, fraudsters have been applying for unemployment benefits using stolen identities that were obtained in data breaches that occurred outside of state government. There were more than 11,000 data breaches that caused the exposure of more than 1.6 billion records in the U.S. over a span of about 15 years. Many individuals whose personal data was leaked during these breaches are unaware until a fraudster uses their identity to apply for unemployment benefits and they receive notification that a benefits application has been filed in their name. Here's Department of Banking and Securities Deputy Secretary for Financial Services, Tim Arthur, to tell us more. Take a look.
No one thinks that a scam will happen to them, but we found that scammers don't discriminate.
Pennsylvania Labor and Industry, or LNI, utilizes numerous fraud detection measures, including using virtual identity verification vendor ID.me to verify the identities of all new unemployment applicants. Since the new UC benefit system went live in June 8, they have been prevented approximately $1 billion in state and federal dollars from being paid out to fraudsters. LNI works with the National Unemployment Insurance Fraud Task Force and other partners, including the FBI, Homeland Security, and additional law enforcement agencies, the State Treasury, and the State Attorney General's Office to identify and block new fraud methods and stop fraud attempts. If you have been a victim, don't be embarrassed. Instead, report it to law enforcement. The Pennsylvania State Police works closely with its local, state, and federal law enforcement partners to investigate fraud, identity theft, and scams. The sooner law enforcement knows, the better the chances are of recovering your money and catching the scammers. Right now, Thomas, in Swarthmore, it's 69 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius with clear skies. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Mylan Simbul and Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
Myla, quickly, before you go, can you give us some tips to protect yourself from being a victim of fraud, a victim of these scammers?
So in order to protect yourself, let's say in order to protect yourself from being a victim of fraud, just make sure that whenever, especially when you're purchasing online, make sure that if you're using a secured site, usually you will know if it's HTTPS or just make sure it's a reliable website whenever you do, especially purchasing, because when you purchase, you give all those, your name, your address, all those personal information, even your credit card number. So yeah, just make sure you're vigilant about all those things. Thomas?
And one other thing, Myla, some of the antivirus programs out there, they actually have a separate subroutine where you can pay your bills, do your banking, and so on. That gives you that added layer of protection. Some of them call it safe pay or something like that. So that may be another thing that people might want to look at upgrading their antiviruses as well. Isla, thanks for joining us this evening, and look forward to talking to you about coloring. Still to come, we've got reports from Georgia, Nevada, and EBC Health. This is Eagle News America.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights. Sharpen your instincts for smart decision-making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Atlanta is reimposing its mask mandate. EBC's Philip Toledo has that story.
Thanks, Thomas. As COVID-19 cases surge across the nation in the wake of the Delta variant, public health officials in Georgia have increased their campaigns in pushing for vaccinations. Social media channels of the Georgia Department of Health have continued to post testimonials from the general public, as well as health professionals and faith leaders encouraging others to get the shots. Many are particularly concerned as many in the public school systems here in Georgia began the fall semester today, which means thousands of children across the state are now back in group settings, but many don't have the ability to yet be vaccinated. With only 40% of the state fully vaccinated anyway, officials are looking to other measures to try and mitigate the spread, which of course leads us to one of the hottest and most controversial issues before the vaccine even came out: masks. Last week, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms issued an executive order to mandate the use of face coverings in the city of Atlanta, whenever indoors, even the fully vaccinated. The mayor said, quote, "As COVID-19 rates increase, we must remain vigilant, wear a mask, follow CDC guidelines, and other measures to ensure the safety and well-being of our communities." Now, on the other hand, the state governor, Brian Kemp, has come out saying that unlike the Atlanta mayor, he will not impose a statewide mask mandate. Furthermore, Georgia will also not lock down. Instead, the governor urged Georgians to follow his and other state leaders' lead in getting the shot, mentioning that nearly all new COVID-19 hospitalizations here in Georgia are from the unvaccinated. Mask use, just based on personal observation, is still pretty mixed. However, a brief browse through community posts on social media alone showed that the debate rages on in the community, particularly now with this return of the school year. The state is at a total case count of 936,000 since the beginning of the pandemic and is approaching 19,000 total deaths. 4,387 confirmed cases since last Friday were reported today, and the daily new cases are right around where we were last November, when cases were climbing for the winter surge. The 7-day average positivity rate here in Georgia is 13.7%. Thomas, I hope you and yours and all of our viewers are staying safe. In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thanks, Philip. As health officials try to tame the Delta variant of COVID, The state of Nevada has revised its thinking on masks, vaccination, and testing. More on that story from EBC's Lori Jarvina.
Thank you, and greetings to all our viewers in America and abroad. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy out there. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced last week that everyone, including fully vaccinated individuals, should wear a mask in public, indoor settings in counties with substantial or high transmission. On the CDC's COVID data tracker website, as of August 1st, the level of community transmission in Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is located, is rated as high, with 41.2% of the total population currently fully vaccinated. In line with the CDC's guidance, Nevada's Declaration of Emergency Directive mandates that all persons in counties with substantial or high community transmission rates will be required to wear face coverings while in public indoor spaces regardless of vaccination status. This mandate went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on Friday, July 30th, 2021. Additionally, last week, Nevada announced a new COVID-19 testing policy for all state employees who are not fully vaccinated. According to a press release from Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak, effective August 15th, employees who are not fully vaccinated will be required to take weekly COVID-19 tests, and proof of testing and results must be submitted to their Human Resources Officer or Department Supervisor. Governor Sisolak stated, "The vaccine is the best tool we have to combat this virus, and we are committed to making the state government a safe and healthy environment for all employees and the public we are charged with serving. State employees have always led by example, and I remain confident they will continue to step up and follow these new mitigation strategies that will enable us to better protect each other and the fellow Nevadans we serve." County transmission data will be reviewed weekly every Tuesday by the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services based on the data available on CDC County Tracker. For a county to change masking requirement status, it must remain in a transmission classification for 2 consecutive weeks before the mask requirement will be either increased or relaxed. If a county's status changes, it will have until that Friday of the same week to implement that change. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Lori Jarvina, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
In Los Angeles, the new Bell Health Center has opened. As Eagle News correspondent Eva Basayahe tells us, it will expand access to medical care for the city's diverse population.
The City of Bell celebrates the opening of a new public health center, which for the historically underserved community cities of Southeast Los Angeles comes at a time when concerns are at an all-time high because of the pandemic and also the health issues that residents face every day.
Today, we're celebrating the grand opening of our new Bell Health Center, the latest addition to the Department of Health Services system of clinics. This interaction today have had so many people come up to me, very grateful for what's happening. I mean, in tears, saying how hard it's been for them to be able to access care and how meaningful it is that the Department of Health Services is focusing on their care. Regarding the festivities and the services, I'll say the festivities were fun. This is a really diverse population here, a lot of Latino, Mexican American families that live here, witnessed by the music. It's a family-oriented environment. In addition to the health services that we're providing, there's a collaborative of organizations that work together to bring all sorts of services, including food banks and distribution, free eye and vision care for children. The county and the giant umbrella of county services are available and present here. The ability to sign up for insurance, to sign up for assistance with food, a variety of other county services that are eligible for people, making it kind of a one-stop shop for people. That was really our aim with the grand opening.
The communities in Southeast Los Angeles for a long time haven't had close access to healthcare within their community. And so they've had to travel far to get the healthcare. And if they couldn't get there, then they were just suffering. And they were dealing with medical issues, with chronic health issues that could have been better controlled and better managed if they had access to good primary care. And so this health center, Bell Health Center, will provide access in their own community to the primary care services and preventive health that everyone needs and deserves. I've been smiling behind this mask all day. I've been so proud of being able to open this health center. It's been a year of hard work, but our staff and all the teams and the county departments that came together to make this happen on a relatively short time frame have just been great to work with. And it just makes me really proud to work for the county, work for health services, and be able to do the medical care that I care about most and that reaches the people that I care about the most.
This really is a county family coming together, along with our partners in the city of Bell and the surrounding 8 cities that make up the Southeast communities. And just to be clear, this area has been a health desert for many, many years. Now they will have a place to come, receive full-blown care here. They can also be exposed to new medical technologies and advances that can help provide treatment and prevention and save lives. We heard from a woman who'd been a patient of Department of Health Services for 20 years, and she lives here in the city of Bell. She would have to take 2 buses. It would take maybe more than 2 hours each way to go get medical treatment at the nearest, largest facility. Now it's 5 minutes from her home. That's a life changer for many people here. Hardworking people live here. They put their roots up here, and their children go to our schools. Many go on to well-established universities and then come back and serve their community. And you can see that with the breadth of elected officials that were here today. I feel very proud, you know, and it really is a tribute, not to me, but to the county and the work that we provide, and to the residents here who deserve everything, the best treatment, the respect, the dignity, and the best health care that they can access. So I'm just touched by that.
More than the free giveaways, health screenings, and festivities, it's the promise of accessible healthcare that helps strengthen the bonds of an already tight-knit community of Southeast LA cities. In Bell, California, Eva Basalyahe, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Up next, we have features from EBC Travel, EBC Food, and our roundtable is National Coloring Book Day. You're watching Eagle News America. If Central America is on your list of vacation destinations, one stop you might want to make is the beaches of Pedasi and Panama. And if it's the right time of the year, as Eagle News correspondent May Davila tells us, you'll be able to take in some whale watching.
Thank you, Thomas. This is the season for whale watching in one of Pedasi's beautiful beaches in the province of Los Santos here in Panama, and with a spectacular scene of the acrobatics of a group of humpback whales with their hatchlings, the Panama Tourism Authority launches the Time for Whale Watching. The season of sightings of the sea giants occurs every year from July to October. These are months when the mammal moves from the South Pacific to the warm waters of the Pacific to mate and give birth to their young. The arrival of these wonderful beings to Panamanian waters is considered to represent contact with nature that provides an exquisite experience. So how does one go about it? In Pedasi, about 25 people provide the transfer service by boat to the high seas to observe the whales with their neonates, maintaining the distance regulated by the authorities. The boats then leave from Playa El Arenal. The trip takes approximately 20 minutes, not bad at all. The average cost per person to travel by boat to the humpback whale watching point is $20. Meanwhile, the tourism authority in the Central Park of Pedasi has installed totems with a photographic exhibition of whales and tips on how to carry out this activity in a responsible way, appealing to the conscious tourist who enjoys the heritage and conserves it. Local and foreign tourists are urged to enjoy this treasure of nature responsibly in order to practice sustainable and environmentally friendly tourism, respecting the 2017 sighting protocol, which establishes the limit to perform the activity. When embarking on the trip on the high seas, the following must be complied with. Avoid swimming, diving with a snorkel or tank, or any activity that involves interacting with the animals in their habitat. The approach for observation must always be made parallel to the course of movement of the whales and slightly behind them, taking into account the distances indicated. Avoid approaching less than 250 meters from the whales and less than 100 meters from the dolphins. And when observing the whale with a calf, one can only do so within 15 minutes. Plus, the boat's engine must remain neutral during the sighting. The use of echo sounders in the observation areas and sudden changes in speed or boat courses during the sighting is not allowed. The maximum speed allowed in the presence of whales is 4 knots or 7 kilometers per hour. The sighting may not exceed 30 minutes with the same group of whales, and it is not allowed to interrupt the course of whales, divide them, or disperse them when they go in a group. Failure to comply with these regulations is an offense. Aside from Pedasi, there are other marine areas here in Panama where you can see whales and dolphins, such as along the entire Pacific coast in the south of the province of Veraguas in Santa Catalina and neighboring areas around the Coiba National Park, Boca Chica in the province of Chiriquí, and the archipelago of Las Perlas. Tourists can also enjoy exquisite gastronomy, adventure tourism, and contact with nature while learning the cultural heritage of the people. Currently, it is 25 degrees Celsius here in Ciudad de Panama. May Davila, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Thomas.
You hungry? Well, let's go to the kitchen now, where EBC friend Ika Ira shows us how to make cheesy, bacon-stuffed mini peppers. And we're back at the virtual roundtable this Monday and Tuesday morning in the Philippines. It's National Coloring Book Day, and now this recognizes the joy that children and adults, yes, adults, derive from coloring in pages of designs. You know, coloring and coloring books have always been popular with kids, but over the years, more and more adults have got involved with coloring, and adult coloring is a huge trend. I know I used to have very boring meetings with my boss, and that was a way to pass the time, just bring a coloring book to the meeting. Anyway, many find it's not only fun, but also a great way to reduce stress. So for a round table tonight, as they gather around, I want to ask my fellow correspondents here, do you use coloring books? One thing I'm big on, do you stay within the lines? I'll tell you my story later. And what is your favorite color and your least favorite color of crayons? And we might even be able to tell you a little bit about yourself just by what your favorite color is. So we're going to start with Mila Simbulan, way out there in Pennsylvania. You're a long ways from me up here in Canada. Do you use coloring books? And more importantly, do you stay within the lines?
Thomas, yes, I do use coloring books when I'm teaching my children how to use it, how to use colors. So yes, that was the last, I remember that was the last time I used a color to teach them how to make sure that you're not going to go over the line. And yeah, my favorite color it used to be blue, but now it's yellow. For some reason, yellow makes yellow is like a cheerful color. That's why you use it on highlight when you want to highlight something. It's so cheerful. And my least favorite color, I would say, is moss green. I don't know, it just looks sad, moss green to me.
Okay.
It looks icky to me. So yeah.
When you colored, I presume as a child, you indicated you really weren't an adult coloring book type. Did you stay within the lines?
I tried, Thomas, but I'm not really an artist, so I always go above the line. I'm not really good at it, but I've seen my class. I remember seeing my classmates' coloring books, and they're so pretty. And you know, it's really the way they color. There's also the stroke, right? When you color it, it's really pretty. But yeah, no, I'm not happy with the way I color things because I'm not really an arty person. So yeah, Thomas.
Okay, you said blue was one of your favorite colors. Our chart here says blue indicates calm, trust, and intelligence in your personality. Ooh. I would have to agree with that. I think that's dead on. I think that, and yellow was your second one. Yellow, happiness, hope, spontaneity. Yeah, you got all those. You got all those.
Yeah, yellow.
Keisha, what about you? What about you? Do you use coloring books?
Thomas, maybe like as an adult, yes. Child, definitely, yes. I used to, like a couple of years ago, use it as just for a sense of calmness and, you know, stress relief. But yeah, that's pretty much like when I use coloring books.
Do you stay within the lines when you color?
Oh, definitely. When I get closer to the lines, I actually color slowly to make sure that I stay within the lines.
Yeah, see, I could never do. And people have accused me in a non-coloring environment of not staying in the lines, but well, you know, that's journalism. That's what happens to you. What's your favorite color and your least favorite color, Keisha?
My favorite color would have to be baby blue, a very light, soft blue. For me, it gives me a sense of calmness, peace, comfort. And my least favorite color would have to be the same thing with Mila. It would have to be some sort of dark green. I don't know. For me, it just gives me a depressive mood.
Oh, okay. Well,
gives me a dark mood.
So again, the blue indicates calm, trust, intelligence as attributes of your personality. And I would have to say from what I've seen, that's accurate. Mayanne, what say you?
Well, Thomas, as a child, yes, I did, because it was, of course, very popular to color a coloring book now. But as an adult, I just like what Keisha said, it became really popular to color as one of the mindful exercises, but I never got into it because just like you, I never stay in the line, within the lines.
That's a good thing. That's a sign of at least I think it's
I don't know.
creativity.
I don't know. Okay. I'd take it. I'd love to take it that way, Thomas. But I guess my fine motor skills didn't develop in 31 years. But I really did when I was a child. Well, my favorite color is green. All shades of green, as opposed to my line, Keisha. It's moss green, kale green, sage green. I love it, and I think the color that my least favorite when it's coloring wise is brown. It kind of just like easily messes things up, brown. But on clothes, brown and tan, I like that. How about you, Thomas?
Okay, well, first of all, green indicates you're in touch with nature, growth, harmony, wealth. Big on wealth, right?
I like that. I love planting too.
Okay, my favorite color, I got to go with the majority here. Blue has always been my favorite color. I don't know why. Least favorite, I'd have to say brown. Not because I especially dislike it. It's just kind of There's nothing there. There's nothing there, and something just fell off my computer. I think that was it was some kind of a peripheral there. Quickly around the table, what do you think is the happiest color, Mila?
I think the happiest color is yellow. Makes me, it's so cheerful. It's like the sun.
Yeah. Big sun up in the corner of your picture there. Keisha, happiest color.
I would have to agree with Mila as well. Yellow gives positive vibes, cheerful, happiness. You can't go wrong with yellow.
And Mayanne?
That is actually also my favorite color in terms of making things bright, Thomas. That was actually my son's second birthday party theme, like sunshine. I just love it. It makes you happy.
And they say yellow is indicative of happiness. It's indicative of hope, of spontaneity. And I think we're all pretty spontaneous here. You have to be spontaneous to be on the air here. I mean, it's just not script. You can have the script in front of you, but things happen. Conversations happen. They take a different direction. I think I see a lot of spontaneity in this whole roundtable here. But we're about to wrap things up. We're about to wrap things up here, and I want you to now color me thankful. And you say, why? Because I'm thankful for all of our frontliners out there. We've been in this pandemic almost a year and a half now, and there's been people out on the front lines just giving it all. And I'm talking about not only our healthcare workers, but our first responders. There's all kinds of essential workers. We don't even see them. The people who do the cleaning in hospitals or anywhere. They're out there on the front lines. Retailers out there on the front lines serving us again. Everybody out there. And let's not take them for granted, even though we've been doing this for a year and a half now, or almost a year and a half. Let's again show them our appreciation. Show them our appreciation for their work. Recognize them for the heroes they are with a round of applause. I want to say we appreciate you. That's today's Eagle News. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, and truly, we live in interesting times.
Start up your weekday